In the sweltering city of Umuahia, a notorious figure emerged, striking fear into the hearts of its residents. Bad character, a ruthless and cunning member of the Black Axe confraternity, had earned a reputation for brutality and recklessness. His name was whispered in terror by those who knew of his exploits, and his presence seemed to draw a dark and foreboding shadow over the city. Bad character's rap sheet was a lengthy and bloody one, with numerous armed robberies and assassinations attributed to his name. He had no qualms about eliminating rival cultists, and his methods were often brutal and indiscriminate. Innocent bystanders and mistaken identities were frequently caught in the crossfire, and Bad character showed no remorse for the lives he had destroyed. His modus operandi was to strike without warning, often targeting his victims in broad daylight or in the dead of night. He was a ghostly figure, seemingly able to appear and disappear at will, leaving a trail of death and destruction in his wake. The police were well aware of Bad character's activities, and he had become a top priority on their list of most wanted criminals. However, Bad character's troubles were not limited to the law. He had also managed to incur the wrath of the Greenlanders confraternity, a rival group with ties to the notorious Supreme Vikings confraternity. The conflict had begun over a botched business deal between Bad character and the leader of the Greenlanders. The exact nature of the deal was shrouded in mystery, but its aftermath was all too clear. The resulting confraternity war had brought the city to its knees, with bloody clashes erupting between the Black Axe and the Greenlanders. The streets ran red with the blood of the fallen, and the sound of gunfire echoed through the night. The police struggled to maintain order, but their efforts were often in vain. As the conflict raged on, Bad character remained at the center of the storm, his name on the lips of every resident in Umuahia. His legend grew with each passing day, and his reputation as a ruthless and feared figure continued to spread far and wide. The question on everyone's mind was, how far would Bad character's reign of terror extend, and who would ultimately bring him to justice? Rival confraternity members lived in dread of Bad character, whose reputation as a ruthless and relentless hitman for the Black Axe had spread far and wide. His mere presence seemed to strike fear into the hearts of his enemies, and many were reluctant to engage in any conflict with the Black Axe, knowing that Bad character would be lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. Bad character's stubbornness and unwavering dedication to the Black Axe were legendary. He was a force to be reckoned with, and his reputation as a merciless and efficient hitman had earned him the respect and admiration of his fellow axemen. However, this same reputation had also made him a target for rival cultists, who sought to eliminate him in order to weaken the Black Axe's grip on the city. Despite numerous attempts on his life, Bad character remained elusive and untouched. His fortifications were said to be impenetrable, and he had developed a network of loyal allies and informants who kept him informed of any potential threats. This allowed him to stay one step ahead of his enemies, always seeming to vanish into thin air just when they thought they had him cornered. The police were equally frustrated in their efforts to apprehend Bad character. He had been declared wanted, and a massive manhunt had been launched to bring him to justice. However, Bad character's fortifications were said to be so sophisticated that even the police found it difficult to recognize him. He had developed an uncanny ability to blend in with his surroundings, making it virtually impossible for anyone to identify him. It was said that Bad character had developed a range of disguises and aliases, which he used to move undetected through the city. He was a master of deception, and his ability to adapt and evolve had allowed him to stay one step ahead of the law. The police were forced to rely on tip-offs and intelligence gathered from informants, but even this proved to be a challenge, as Bad character's network of loyal allies and sympathizers seemed to be everywhere. As the cat-and-mouse game between Bad character and the police continued, the city held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Would Bad character finally be brought to justice, or would he continue to evade capture, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos in his wake? Only time would tell. On November 2, 2022, the police department issued a directive that would change the course of events in the city. After numerous failed attempts to apprehend Bad character alive, the police had reached their wits' end. Despite being aware of the relentless pursuit by the authorities, Bad character continued to wreak havoc across the city, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos in his wake. His blatant disregard for the law and his continued perpetration of criminal activities had finally led the police to issue a stern order: bad character was to be shot on sight, wherever he was found. This drastic measure was not taken lightly, but the police felt it was necessary to protect the citizens of the city from bad character's reign of terror. His notoriety had reached unprecedented heights, and his name had become synonymous with crime. As a result, any criminal activity that took place in the city was likely to be attributed to him, whether he was directly involved or not. The police were determined to put an end to his antics once and for all. In the midst of this heightened tension, the police received an intelligence tip that would prove to be a game-changer. They were informed of bad character's possible whereabouts, and to their surprise, the location turned out to be his residence. The police quickly sprang into action, mobilizing a team of heavily armed officers to apprehend bad character once and for all. As the police closed in on bad character's residence, the air was thick with anticipation. The city held its breath, waiting to see what would unfold. Would bad character finally meet his match, or would he manage to evade capture once again? The police were determined to bring him to justice, but they knew that bad character was a formidable opponent, and that this final showdown would not be without its challenges. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation, one that would determine the fate of bad character and the city he had terrorized for so long. The police were ready, their guns drawn, and their hearts pounding with anticipation. But bad character was not one to back down from a fight, and the outcome of this final showdown was far from certain. As the police closed in on bad character's residence, he received a timely warning from his loyal associates. They alerted him to the impending arrival of the police and urged him to flee, but bad character refused to budge. He had grown weary of living in hiding, constantly looking over his shoulder and waiting for the other shoe to drop. With a sense of resignation and determination, he declared that he was ready to face the music, and that the police should come to his house and confront him once and for all. The police arrived at bad character's residence, and a tense standoff ensued. However, the stalemate was short-lived, lasting only a few minutes before bad character's life was cut short in a hail of bullets. The news of his demise spread like wildfire throughout the city, sending shockwaves through the streets and leaving a power vacuum in its wake. In the aftermath of bad character's death, the rival confraternities saw an opportunity to settle old scores with the Black Axe. Prior to his passing, it was whispered that rival groups had been hesitant to initiate a confraternity war, largely due to the fear of facing bad character's wrath. However, with the dreaded bad character no longer in the picture, the rival confraternities sensed a chance to assert their dominance. It didn't take long for the Vikings, a rival confraternity, to make their move. Just a few days after bad character's demise, they launched a brazen attack on the leader of the Black Axe. The Viking members allegedly beat the Black Axe leader mercilessly, taunting him and declaring that the Black Axe would never be the same without bad character. The Vikings claimed that their actions were motivated by past transgressions, and not solely by bad character's death. However, the timing of the attack suggested otherwise, and it seemed clear that they had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The attack on the Black Axe leader sent a clear message to the rest of the confraternity: the Vikings were coming for them, and they would stop at nothing to assert their dominance. The Black Axe, still reeling from the loss of bad character, was faced with a daunting task. Regroup, recharge, and prepare to defend themselves against the Viking onslaught.